Time now for weather with Nebraska Extension Ag Climatologist and Market Journal Chief Meteorologist Al Dutcher. Al felt a lot different after that cold front earlier this week. What's in the forecast for the week ahead?
Well, Troy, we had an interesting beginning of the week with that big long wave trough we talked about last week, and it actually come out a little bit slower than was originally forecasted. And the cold air got in here a little bit earlier than forecasted. The main energy kind of lagged behind, and so we had in the upper atmosphere a southwest to northeast flow. So that kept that warm air above the surface. Unfortunately, that formed a freezing rain and ice storm band basically across portions of central up to northeastern Nebraska, and some pretty significant damage. I think the saving grace in all of this, if you want to call it a saving grace, was that we had extraordinary winds the few days prior to the event, and a lot of leaves were ripped off of the trees. Otherwise, we probably would have seen more significant damage if we'd have kept more foliage on our trees. We ended up seeing snowfall basically in the 2 to 4 inch range, a lot of locations north of Interstate 80, a little bit tailing off as you got into south central and southwest Nebraska. But the big winners in terms of snowfall are right along the Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa border intersect. Anywhere from 8 to 9 inches were reported unofficially. So now that we've had that big storm will go through us, we're looking at really a fairly benign pattern for this next week. Biggest issue will be when we have a front come through and I see our temperatures dropping, but otherwise we're not looking for any major precipitation. So if we go to the upper air models for this morning, what we will notice is we have one trough that is moving through the region right now, the cold air to our north, the main energy south of the state, and that should induce some precipitation basically across Kansas and points off to the east as the day progresses. That's going to usher in cooler air as the afternoon progresses across west to east. See this little precipitation band? Outside chance of some of this might interact in southeast Nebraska. Then by tomorrow, that piece of energy rips off to the east rather rapidly. We get a slight ridging building in, but there is a little cold air that is going to be coming down behind this front to reinforce the cool air, particularly over northeast Nebraska as we see more of the major precipitation over the Great Lakes region. So we're going to be looking at temperatures that are going to be a little bit below seasonal in the 40s, 50s out the southwest. Then we start to see this ridge building in for Monday. So our temperatures are going to warm dramatically across western Nebraska. They're going to stay cool in eastern Nebraska. We're probably looking at 50s to 55 across the southwest, more in the upper 30s, low 40s across the northeast. Main precipitation means out to our west. Then we really start to see the ridge building up toward the north on Tuesday. Very warm conditions across western Nebraska, widespread 50s and probably a few 60s in across the southwest. In eastern Nebraska, we're going to be bumping up into the mid 40s to the 50s. Overall, very dry precipitation forecast. Then the center of that ridge starts to move in right across the center part of the country on Wednesday. Very warm conditions statewide. We'll be looking at 50s in the northeast, 60s across the south and in the southwest, probably pushing the 70-degree mark. No precipitation in sight. You can see that we're starting to get some storm activity across the northwest. That's going to help to push the ridge a little bit farther toward the east on Thursday, get a southwest flow aloft, going to bring in drier air, so our fire danger may actually increase across western Nebraska. Surface low forms in southeastern South Dakota, no moisture to speak of, so we're not expecting anything more than a few clouds. On Friday, we start to see a trough kind of moving out of that Pacific Northwest into the Central Plains. This might be just a little bit fast. I think this is going to probably come a little bit later into the weekend, probably Saturday into Sunday. And then we see some precipitation in the Central Rockies, but if this moves at the current pace as forecasted, then we're not going to be looking at a lot of precipitation. If this slows down, we can get a little bit more moisture up into our region. We could be looking for potential for a little bit more precipitation across the Central Plains, particularly as we get into Saturday night into Sunday. Now, as we look at the 8 to 14 day forecast, from next Thursday to the following Tuesday, you can see well above normal temperatures in place. So even with that front coming through, we're expected to rebound in terms of temperatures. In terms of precipitation, the above normal precipitation shown here is simply that wave coming through our region. This weekend, it looks like the vast majority of the precipitation will fall to the east of us. More importantly, as we look to the Thanksgiving Day week, just a preview right now, the GFS model at least is hinting at dry conditions from essentially Monday through Friday, with a warm or well above normal temperatures. We may be looking at a repeat back into the 60s, possibly 70s. Then look for that cold air in the Pacific Northwest to start making it into our region as we enter the first part of December.